Hey Mexicans, welcome back to this new video where today we're going to be looking at the second part of the alternate future of the world video, which will be called which will also have the name What If the USA Collapsed. It probably won't have that name for long, but I mean, I'm gonna have to keep it that way I'm gonna have to keep it that way so that parts stay consistent every time that anyone rewatches the series. So yeah, it's gonna be alternate future. It's gonna be what if the USA collapsed, but really it's just alternate future of the world. Anyway, yeah, remember when I was alluding to the fact that these countries would invade this area? Yeah, it's about to happen. Cause you see, to put it simply, this area is just prime real estate. So everyone wants to take advantage of it. So yeah, all the alliance members here will declare war. Even the American ones, yes. But we kind of see something interesting. The the Western Alliance clearly doesn't the Western Alliance doesn't get involved because they don't really care for these countries. Unfortunate as it is. But, you know, the Hungarians push in and yeah. We just see total collapse by all the countries. A bunch of puppet states will be made, but it'll also be divvied up land too. And so yeah, we will take a look at this peace treaty, but I'm gonna go ahead and do some reducements. Just actually no, the alliance is gonna stay intact. What am I saying? Yeah. Anyway, we will now take a look at a peace treaty. Okay, so on this peace treaty, we see that Hungary gets northern Transylvania along with a lot of what they wanted. Now they don't get everything because Germany wanted land in puppet states, so Germany gets the brute of the land, but they still get a bit of Bosnia in order to actually have some coastline access. Germany didn't want to leave them without that, as if they would have got their full territory, they would have had coastline access. So Hungary was allowed to have that. But we see a Serbian puppet come out of it, and it's more of a Yugoslavia puppet. So like Bosnia and Montenegro are part of this too. We have the Romanian puppet, or what remains of Romania. We see that Ukraine annexes a good chunk of Romania, and Bulgaria annexes the rest of the Brusia, along with a bit of Serbia here. They also get North Macedonia and like Thrice and the part of Macedonia that's a part of Greece. Albania and Greece themselves are also puppeted. And Constantinople is given to Germany, and they changed the name of Constantinople. Or, sorry. Yeah, Constantinople is given to Germany. The rest of Turkey is puppeted. The rest of Turkey's puppeted. Kurdistan becomes a puppet, and the Caucasians become a puppet. So yeah, that's all of the yeah. But now this alliance is going to make a huge jump. Oh, um, Are you sure you're gonna win that? As it turns out, Alaska has been kind of quiet. That's because their government secretly changed under closed doors. And they're a democracy. So they go ahead and actually leave that alliance, and they join the war on the blue team. So that means that that they're that the places that they have influence will go over to the blue team. So there's Siberian regions that goes to the blue team. Yeah, this area goes to the blue team since it's under Alaskan influence. But also the Siberian puppet. Yeah, that's not. You remember, Alaska's the one who made that puppet, not Germany. So they keep the Alaskans get that on the blue team. So this is their influence. So you realize just how reduced this entire front is. And you see, the red team here in America is pretty screwed, as Kentucky, Tennessee Union is stronger along with Michigan. And New York is even pretty strong too. And Louisiana. Yeah, they're not gonna win. But at first, they do get some wins. Don't get me wrong, at first they do get some things. But it's not gonna last long. So Minnesota will reclaim their old lands. And then Canada's just off the question. I mean, Canada's even stronger than any of these U.S. states, period. But I mean, then again, not really, because some of the U.S.'s power is invested in the U.S. But yeah, there's a little bit of pushback and pushing into Canada. I won't say there isn't. It's just not as much as you think there is. And Illinois does push into good chunks of Wisconsin. That's a given. And also, Illinois, I don't know, will kind of get Chicago back, and like this is all they get though. Ohio gets some of their own land back, and they pretty much just reduced Michigan down to their core. But even then, that's the end though. We also have some pushing into Kentucky, but not to the capital because the capital is too far out of reach. They do get West Virginia as capital though. And New York is just gonna fold Pennsylvania without any question. I mean, they're already there. So yeah. Goodbye, Pennsylvania. And I mean, now is when they begin to push back here. So yeah, this ain't lasting long. Michigan even pushes back, and they get a lot of their cities back, including all the Wisconsin stuff. They kind of hold Minnesota for last. They remain with this border, but they remain pretty last. And so, yeah. With the capture of the capital of Illinois, we just see this completely fold. And then Minnesota is the last one, and they kind of just swap governments at this point. They rebel, and oh yeah, that's the end of Minnesota's fascist regime. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. Oh wait, well the North American peace treaty we'll look later, but we have the Europeans to worry about. Yeah, I realized that this was before Pakistan joined the alliance. This is before Pakistan wanted to join the alliance. They just joined for the sake of fighting India. Well, honestly, China doesn't support this alliance, so they don't even help Pakistan, which is kind of sad, but yeah. Also, the Middle Eastern core is taken up quite instantly. And now we're pushing into the Russian puppet states. Alaska will get influence in this part of the peace treaty. They kind of, because they're more in the region here. We see an interesting thing. The Russian people in these puppet states actually support the Alaskans here. So yeah. So Moscow is like they welcome the Alaskans in with open arms. And yeah. So we pretty much just see the collapse of the Russian puppet states. But the Ukrainian lands in yeah. This entire alliance just doesn't fare well against the Europeans and the Alaskans and the Americans. Yeah, the main German core collapses. And I mean, Hungary's like working in a negotiation to keep their land, but they want to become a democracy. So they're gonna be a little like they're gonna be fine a bit, but the rest of the countries are just there's some rebellions, but ultimately it kind of falls to yeah. So yeah. Anyway, now we will take a look at a peace treaty. Okay, so in this peace treaty, we'll be starting from west to east. So first in the Americas. So yeah, Illinois was reformed to a fascist government. I mean, not a fascist, democratic government, and along with that, they were forced to spit out like their portions of Indiana and Ohio, and with portions of Wisconsin. And yeah, like so, Michigan was like, okay, I don't really want all of this coastline anymore, especially because it was a center of destability for me. So Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois, you can have your portions back. So you can have Chicago, you can have all your Great Lake coast, and you can have all your Great Lake coast. And but in exchange for that, of course, these countries form into the Great Lake Alliance. So that's the exchange rate. Kentucky, meanwhile, was so Ohio and Indiana were released as independent, but Kentucky was like downsizing their border, so Ohio and Indiana have their southern borders back. This is because for for the same reason as Michigan. They were causing instability, so it was like can't really exactly have that. But in exchange, we will have influence. So really, Kentucky and Michigan have their own alliances now. Will this evolve into anything? Not really. These are peaceful alliances, so that's not gonna happen. However, the rest of this, however, the old blue team and the old red team demolished because the blue team kind of decided that they really just wanted to get rid of the red team. After that, they would disband. So yeah, that's what happened. Oh yeah, and speaking of which, we gotta get to the important part. All right. Germany is broken up. So the French get this province, the little coal province that generates a bunch of coal. Belgium gets a little bit of land, and the Netherlands gets a little bit of land. Germany itself is reduced to this. Denmark gets its own land back, Bavaria gets independence, and then we just see an independent Prussia. Which, oh yeah, that reminds me. We'll be giving some new capitals to these regions. This is due to the fact that I want to do more capitals. So Prussia will have their capital here. So Prussia will have their capital here. And Bavaria will have their capital there. Along with that, Austria is released, so they get their capital in Vienna. And of course, I'm going to erase this, but yeah. So, Austria gets to keep the stuff that Germany owned because, honestly, if they kind of wanted Hungary to not have any competition. Oh yeah, and speaking of which, Hungary had to give up this bit back to Austria, which is fine. They didn't really lose anything else besides that part. Czechia is independent, so yeah. And yeah. So yeah, the only capital here is Serbia's capital, and this is Albania. Yeah, they're released along with Greece and all that. Bulgaria actually doesn't lose any too much. They lose Dobruja back to Romania, which doesn't get Transylvania back, but they get a bunch of Moldova. And then Turkey gets Thrice back. But other than that, Bulgaria's pretty intact when it comes to territory. They did a similar deal with they did a similar deal that Hungary did, and it worked. They're both democracies now, by the way. So anyway, Turkey has not only all its full land back, but they annexed some from Syria and Iraq and Iran. Azerbaijan and Georgia released, with Georgia taking bits of Armenia, and their capital is, of course, yeah. This thing, Israel takes Palestine. Yeah, that's a whole thing for another day. But we also see that Kashmir is given back to the Pakistan part of Kashmir is given to India. And oh yeah. And one more thing. Russia is fully split off from Alaska and is given full independence, and it's a democracy. Now, it's given independence, but Alaska's keeping well, Alaska's keeping their regions over here, so they still get to keep all this. The reason why they keep all this is because, to put it simply, one, they still want the land. It helps them in the end. And two, but most importantly, Alaska still has a lot of influence in this Russian government. So Siberia is still a pretty Alaska independent thing. Okay, Russia's independent, but Alaska still influences them. they basically become an alliance. So, I mean, we can really just say Alaska makes their own alliance. This is quite literally because it did. It just is with themselves in Russia. Yeah, Alaska still gets a bunch of influence. It's just way bigger now. So yeah, Russia's in an alliance with in an Alaska's alliance. So yeah. And Ukraine did lose all of its extra territory from Russia. They didn't lose Crimea though. They didn't lose Crimea. And they did lose a bit to Romania, but other than that, they're intact. Now, the reason why these countries didn't get like their full land back, like for example the Baltics and Poland, is, to put it more simply, a lot of the puppet states that were under Germany's influence kind of stayed under Germany's influence throughout the entire war. So like Turkey pretty much got independence because like it was fully rebelling at the time of the war, and like they got all their old land back because of that, including Kurdistan, which really just wanted to be a part of Turkey. But the Caucasians, like, they didn't stay united. They did rebel, but they didn't stay united. This is what they wanted. But for countries like let's say Serbia, for example, yes, they were reformed into a democratic government in the end, but they did not get compensation. This is because they didn't like they stayed under Germany's side for quite a long time in the war. Also, Albania did stay there too, and Greece also did stay there, which is why Bulgaria still remains with a lot of the territory in Greece. Austria did switch sides, so that's why they got their bits of the land back along with this. But when it comes to Poland, they stayed along. The Baltics stayed along due to forcefulness, which still means that they didn't get any land back. They didn't get back Memel. That went to the new Prussian country. And yeah. And I don't think there was any other puppet states besides that. But really, the Siberian puppet state pretty much just evolved back into Russia. And Russia became an Alaskan ally, so they kind of... Alaska also gets to keep their land because they switched sides too. Yeah, basically what I'm saying is some countries got favor and grace, others didn't. And I mean, actually, because Austria was under German control really, and they rebelled, I mean, they pretty much got this land anyway. Even if they didn't rebel, they still would have gotten independence anyway, just because they know that that's what the people wanted. The Germans could have forced it, but the people knew they wanted independence. Same with Czechia, they did get independence in the end, which, yeah. But anyway, with that being said, that'll end this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a new video. Peace out.